You ever look at the world, at history, and just wonder, is this all just chaos? Or is there some kind of plan unfolding? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to explore a pretty fascinating theological view that sees all of history as one big, deliberate, divine plan. Think of it like a blueprint for the ages. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about this idea of an unfinished work. Then we'll get into these three great worlds, which are basically huge epochs of time. We'll compare the world we're in now to the one that's supposed to come. After that, we'll zoom in on the different ages within those worlds. And finally, we'll try to understand the big picture purpose behind this whole grand design. All right, so the whole foundation for this way of thinking is one really powerful metaphor. We're living in an unfinished building. I mean, think about it. If you walked onto a construction site, what would you see? You'd see scaffolding everywhere, piles of rubble, a bare-bones framework. Would you judge the final magnificent skyscraper based on that mess? No way. Well, this perspective says that's exactly where we are in human history. We're just looking at the construction phase, not the finished product. And this idea, well, it completely changes how you look at all the bad stuff in the world, right? The suffering, the injustice. According to this view, those things aren't proof that the plan has failed. Nope, they're just the rough scaffolding, the rubbish left over on the job site. They're temporary things allowed for a time, but they're absolutely not part of the final, beautiful building. So the really crucial takeaway here is that nothing, and I mean nothing, is accidental. History isn't just a random series of events. It's unfolding according to a very specific, unchangeable plan. The source material puts it this way: God's counsel shall stand. In other words, what's been planned is going to happen. It's like watching a methodical, step-by-step march toward a finish line that's already guaranteed. So what does this blueprint actually look like? Well, the entire plan is structured around three huge chunks of time, which the text calls three worlds. And just to be super clear, we're not talking about different planets or anything like that. These are three distinct, massive periods of human history. First up, you've got the world that was. This covers everything from creation right up to the Great Flood. Then comes the era we're in right now, which is called this present evil world. It started right after the flood. And finally, the whole plan leads to the world to come, a future time of total righteousness. Each of these worlds marks a totally different way that God deals with mankind. Okay, so let's dig into that second one, the present evil world. That sounds pretty harsh, right? Why call it that? Well, according to this view, it's not because there's zero good in the world. It's because evil is the force that's permitted to be in charge, to be the dominant influence. And that brings us to the question of who is described as the ruler of this current age. The source points to Satan as the prince of this world, who has a kind of limited, temporary control right now. And that's supposed to be the reason why, in our current age, it often seems like the wicked get ahead, while people trying to do the right thing face all sorts of trouble. That whole dynamic is a core feature of this present era. But that is not where the story ends. Not even close. The blueprint lays out this huge, dramatic shift with the start of the third great epoch, the world to come. And this new era is designed to be the absolute polar opposite of the one we're in now. In this coming age, the tables get completely flipped. Righteousness is now the dominant force. Truth, justice, they're the things that prosper. And the influence of evil? It gets slowly but surely taken apart over 1,000 years. So what causes such a massive change? Well, a new ruler steps in. I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. The ruler changes from Satan to Christ. The outcome flips from the wicked getting ahead to the righteous getting ahead. The whole vibe of the world transforms from a place where evil has the advantage to one where righteousness is the law of the land. This is the central pivot point of the entire plan. Okay, a quick but really important note on the language being used. When the text talks about a new heavens and a new earth, it's not talking about a new planet or a new sky. It's symbolic. Heavens refers to the spiritual powers in charge, and earth refers to human society, governments, social structures, all of that. So when it says a new world, what it really means is a new spiritual leadership and a whole new way for society to be organized. But we can get even more granular. We can zoom in on this timeline. See, these big worlds are broken down into smaller chunks of time called ages or dispensations. And each one of these ages has its own unique job to do. It's like another step-by-step part of the master plan. So let's walk through the progression inside our current world. It kicks off with the patriarchal age. This is when God was dealing mainly with individuals, like Noah and Abraham. Then, the focus gets tighter, narrowing down to one single nation, Israel, during the Jewish age. After that, in the Christian age, the focus blows up to be global. The goal now is to pick out a very special group, a little flock from people all over the world. And this age is what leads right into the millennial age, that 1,000-year reign that's the official start of the world to come. And you can really see the pattern laid out here. The focus goes from individuals, then narrows to one nation, and then expands out to the whole world, all to select a specific group for a very special purpose. See how each stage just builds right on top of the one before it? It's like those carefully laid bricks in our architect's grand design. All right, so you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat framework, but what's the point? Why is it so important for people who believe this to understand all these worlds and ages? Well, the answer is, it's all about how you read the Bible. The key, according to this view, is something called rightly dividing the word. Basically, it just means knowing that a rule or a promise given in one age might not apply to another one. For instance, when you read a promise that the knowledge of the Lord will fill the earth, that's not for today. That's a promise for the future millennial age. So by putting every scripture in its proper time slot, this whole framework helps to make sense of verses that might otherwise look like they're contradicting each other. And that brings us right back to where we started. You know, if you look at a really complicated machine, you might see wheels spinning in opposite directions and think it's just chaos. But if you're the engineer who designed it, you see beautiful, perfect harmony. Well, that's the idea here. This framework takes all the crazy ups and downs of human history and reframes them. It's not chaos. It's the deliberate, interlocking gears of a massive divine machine, all moving exactly as they should toward a final, amazing result. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Whether you buy into this as literal truth or just see it as a powerful way to think about history, how does it change things? If you look at the world not as a series of random accidents, but as a deliberate, systematic plan, how does that change the way you interpret the conflicts, the good times, and all the challenges we see unfolding around us today?